I mean, we went off the gold standard in what, like 19...
It's 74, I think.
Thank you, 1974. Yeah. Money is not based on anything, but our emotional relationship with the things that we can trade money for. So that's what I mean when I say it's pretend. I'm not saying you don't have to play the game. You do. But what I am saying is we have to understand that it's a game. And what's cool about that is anyone can learn the rules of the game. They're not hard.
Welcome back. Today, I am uber excited. We're with Kate Northrup. Now, I am one of her biggest fans. Now, she's the CEO of Educating the Nervous System Regulation of Wealth Creation. No, she is not a chiropractor. She is a genius when it comes to finances. Entrepreneur, author of the 2 best-selling books, Money, A Love Story, and Do Less, specializing in teaching people to heal their relationship with time, energy, and money. Kate, God bless you. Thank you. And I know you've got a great offer for all of our audience. Now, for those that don't know you, can you share your journey of creating relaxed money?
Yeah, so it actually was very much a health-related journey. I wrote my first book, Money, A Love Story, in 2013. So I've been teaching about helping people heal their relationship with money for a long time. But the nervous system piece was woven in the last 5 years. So in 2021, like so many other people, my life was wildly disrupted. And we had moved to Miami somewhat under duress. My husband was incredibly sick for the second time with a debilitating illness. There wasn't like a diagnosis per se, it was one of those mystery scenarios, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. And it was manifesting as he lost 40 pounds in 1 month, and his skin on his whole body was just peeling off over and over and over again. It was raw and absolutely deeply painful for him. So he's also my business partner. And at the time we had a 2.5-year-old and a 5-year-old. And so he was sick. We were one man down in the business, in parenting, in life. And he really needed to devote his whole attention to getting well again, because we didn't have a typical path in the allopathic system for healing, which of course, this is like a whole other conversation for another day. But anyway, so there we were. And I was feeling extraordinarily stressed around money, because now we were paying for 2 lives all of a sudden. We had our life in Maine that we had left, and we had this new life in Miami. And my business partner, my partner in making money, was down and out. And so suddenly I felt completely alone. And then also with the 2 young children. And it was also pandemic years. My mom was being like publicly canceled. I mean, that's a whole other thing as well. So like layer after layer after layer of stress. And I had this loop that I was in. And the loop was, if my husband could just get healthy and make a bunch of money, everything would be fixed. So I was like, I feel like I can't exhale. And the only thing that's going to get me to feel not stressed like this is, him being well, him being fully back, and money. And we had a session with our therapist, and our therapist said, now, Kate, go inside and imagine now that Mike has just come home and he says, babe, I just made $10 million. And for the foreseeable future, like, you don't need to work. And David, our therapist, said, now, how do you feel inside? And the thing that about the body is that our bodies don't lie, and our bodies don't have a sense of time. And so whatever our bodies are telling us, whether it is a visualized scenario or an actually real scenario, it is true. That's why the power of visualization works for, Olympic athletes and high performers of all kinds. And so my body told me in that moment something super surprising. And that was, when I received that news of, I've just made $10 million, you don't need to do anything anymore, I just completely felt dead inside and flatlined. And that was shocking to me. I expected I would feel elated or, energized or relieved, like any of those things. And that's not what I felt. And so after some further digging, what this told me was I had a nervous system thermostat set point for stress and pressure. And that when I imagined that reality, that fuel source going away, I actually associated it with dying. So it didn't feel safe to relax. It didn't feel safe to relax. And that has to do with, the environment I was raised in. And so what I did is I was like, well, I can't live this way anymore. And at the time, I had also gotten my own blood work back from a functional medicine guy I was seeing at the time. And he said, okay, here's the deal. Basically, your brakes are broken and your gas is broken. And so if you keep going this way, you're going to get really sick. And I was like, I have 2 little kids with a sick father. They cannot also have a sick mother because they will then have no caregiver and no source of income to provide for them. So I was like, I have to take this really seriously. So for 90 days, I did an experiment where instead of using my ramp up energy to run my business and like launch a new campaign, do this sales strategy, do all these different things that I used to do a song and a dance to make money in all these different ways, I was just like, just for 90 days, I'm going to deliver to our customers what we already promised. And then anytime I go to like start something new or ramp up or use that stress energy, I'm just going to relax instead. And relax, quote unquote, relax meant laying in bed during the middle of the day, crying on the couch, screaming into a pillow in the closet, going to talk to the ocean and see what the ocean had to say to me, and like all sorts of different practices of essentially feeling a lot of feelings that I had not previously allowed myself to feel in the years leading up to this. And after 90 days, what was shocking and amazing was that we had exceeded all of our financial goals. So now I had a lived experience of, okay, even though on paper, this was not a time to relax, I did it anyway. And as a result, the flow of financial well-being actually opened up instead of me needing to push so hard and hustle so hard for results to happen. And so that was in 2021. A year and a half later, my husband got hit by a car and now he couldn't walk. And I was given a wonderful opportunity to practice even deeper. And through these experiences, relaxed money and this work around money and the nervous system was born, because I was also leading a high-level mastermind at the time. And I was sharing what I was doing for myself with these high 6- and 7-figure earning women, and it was changing their lives too. And I was like, okay, this is real. I need to let the greater world know about this.
This is brilliant. I mean, I just talked to Will Harris, who was talking about stressing out the land, stressing out the earth, and talking about bringing it back, just relaxing, getting back to normal. This is what I talk about in health, that people don't have really diseases. They have stress responses, and a lot of people, they have a debilitating fear of money. And when you say financial literacy, why do you think people have that? What's the disconnect?
We live in a culture where money is a taboo topic. You're not supposed to talk about it. It's very similar to sex, right? You're not supposed to talk about money. You're not supposed to talk about sex, but everyone is supposed to become an adult and be good at both of them. And no one has ever talked about either. And and none of us learns, right? And so I think that there's this fear because so much of our connection and our relationship with money is rooted in the lie of scarcity, which says that there's not enough to go around. What we actually know from the data is there are enough resources on the planet for everyone to live a good life. There actually are. And it's the zero-sum model is not actually the case. Money, there's not a zero-sum amount of money. I mean, what we know is that like 40% of the money that ever has existed in the United States in all time has come into existence since the year 2020. So it's not real, right? Like Like money is not real. It is a made up system, but our relationship with it is rooted in the zero sum model and a profound lack of information, because our relationship with money is synonymous or metaphorically connected to our relationship with our power. And we are afraid of our power. And so we shy away from money conversations because we also have not been taught how to healthily and consciously activate our power in the world. And that is the same thing as our relationship with money. And that's why everyone is so scared, because they don't really understand how to do the energetic dance.
The way you view this is incredible and unique. You know, you talk a lot about money and the idea that it's all just pretend, okay? And expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, this ruffles people's feathers. They don't like it when I say this because they're like, "Yeah, but my mortgage is real," and I'm like, "Totally, it
Exactly.
really, absolutely." I understand. I am a business owner. I am a householder. I'm a mom. I mean, I have investments. I have expenses. Our financial system does require our active participation in order to live in the society that we live in. If you're listening to this right now, you live in a society where money is part of the deal. We interact with money every single day. But the greater truth here is that the system itself is invented. Like dollars and cents are not real, like a tree is real. Now, of course, we could go even deeper and say the tree is also not real and neither are we. And that's like a whole quantum physics conversation, which we don't have to have right now. But money is not real in the way that like you and I are real in existence. It is an unspoken, somewhat unconscious agreement that we all have gone into that says like, yeah, I'll participate in this game that says this house is worth X amount of dollars that are not tied to any actual asset. I mean, we went off the gold standard in what, like
74, I think.
Thank you, 1974. Yeah. Money is not based on anything but our emotional relationship with the things that we can trade money for. So that's what I mean when I say it's pretend. I'm not saying you don't have to play the game. You do. But what I am saying is we have to understand that it's a game. And what's cool about that is anyone can learn the rules of the game. They're not hard.
When people talk, because like you're talking about mortgages and they are real. Yes. And you know, when people talk about debt, they say they're saddled with debt. It's all over the place. So you came up with something totally different with I-bars. What is that?
So I think that I did not come up with this, but the woman I think did is now passed away. So I like to give credit to Louise Hay for invoices for blessings already received. She may or may not have come up with it, but people think I did. So anyway, we'll just credit Lulu. But invoices for blessings already received is really an idea that whatever we owe money for, whether it's our electrical bill this month or our student loans or consumer debt from a trip to Italy we took 5 years ago, or whatever it may be, we've already received something. And now we simply need to repay the invoice. So I like to just take all of that. We have such an idea of like guilt and shame and I've been bad. And the thing is, those are just stories. That's meaning that we are overlaying on a basic fact, a neutral fact, in fact, which is that you had the privilege of buying something before you actually had the cash in your bank account for it. And actually, there's many countries, I think most people don't understand this, most countries don't have that privilege. It is a very American thing to have debt, especially consumer debt on credit cards. And so one of the ways that we can lighten our energy and begin to move energy in our financial life is to release the guilt and shame and rename our debts, invoices for blessings already received, and get into relationship with, wow, I live in a society that let me go to this college. I didn't have the money for it, and I'm paying that over time, but I've already received the blessing. And the more we can actually receive the blessing that we paid, that we were given in advance of being able to pay for it, the more we can actually begin to be in financial flow. And practically speaking, because I know that this can sound woo, but practically speaking, let's say you're a salesperson and you're a salesperson who has recently taken my workshop, Good with Money, and you have learned about invoices for blessings already received. And now you're feeling this relief and you're actually feeling this hope and you're feeling this possibility and gratitude. And you show up for your next sales call in a state of joy and receptivity and magnetism. You are going to be better at sales. You are going to make more money. You are going to unlock financial flow by having a different relationship with your debt, with your invoices for blessings already received, or with any other aspect of your financial life that will pay actual financial receipts in your ability to make more money and make better financial decisions. Because what we also know is that when we're in fear, when we are dysregulated, our ability to have logical, wise thoughts and make smart decisions goes out the window. But when we feel safe, we open up all of this cognitive ability to be really smart about making decisions, which makes you better with money.
Good God. Invoice for blessings already received. Can I just say brilliant? Okay. I mean, when people come to me, they come with, ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease or Lyme disease or, all of these different things. And I give them a pattern interrupt, but I tell them the truth that to treat the disease is foolishness, to treat what caused your body to develop this, to go at the underlying thing. And you do something different too. I mean, you work with neural tags, emotions, and regulation. That's totally different than talking about how much money you make this month.
Yeah, and it has to be both.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you call a neural tag?
Okay, so a neurotag is, my understanding of it is the pattern that automatically happens in our brain and body. So our brain and our nervous system, right? The nervous system, you know this, but everyone knows the nervous system includes the brain and body. It's both things. And a neurotag is when there's a stimulus that reminds our brain and body, reminds our nervous system of something from the past that lights up a particular series or network of neurons that have a habit of firing together over and over and over from repeated use. So, for example, if you have a history of witnessing stressful financial conversations from your parents growing up, and maybe those stressful financial conversations eventually led to a divorce, you may have a neurotag that associates financial conversations with loss, financial conversations with a loss of love or with a loss of security. And that's going to be a fear response. And that neurotag is going to light up when you are having a financial conversation with your spouse, potentially. And what's so cool about the nervous system is we all are bestowers of the miracle or blessed by the miracle of neuroplasticity. And so none of this is set. None of this is forever. But we do need to understand that we are dealing with unconscious patterning that is running 99.9% of our behavior, or maybe a different percentage, but a lot of it. And if we want to have new automatic habitual behavior that's really serving us as opposed to that which is not serving us, we need to rewire our nervous system when we can create new neurotags, which is really exciting because the more we interrupt those old patterns, the less strong they become, and then new patterns are born, and we get to practice those new patterns. And there's all sorts of actual physiological practices that we can do to do that repatterning, which is why I love to teach it with money, because everyone else is like, oh, you just need a spreadsheet, you just need to use this budgeting app, you just need to make more money. And I'm like, no. If your unconscious neurotags are running the show, no amount of money is ever going to make you feel safe or like it's enough or free.
Every patient and everybody that's seen, reprogramming your nervous system is one of the three keys to altering your health. To reprogram your nervous system for your financial health. Again, there's just mind blowing because those would be the limiting factors. I mean, in our culture, I mean, granted, we're coming out of the world of psychosis the last few years, but a lot of people they're in that hustle culture. All I got to do is work a little bit more. All I got to, and they're burnt out. What do you recommend for people that just feel they're overwhelmed? They feel like they're the mouse on the wheel. They can't get off.
It's such a great question. So one of the things we understand about nervous system dysregulation is that overwhelm can be one of the signs, right? Overwhelm is sort of like a low grade freeze response. And so when we're in overwhelm, when we're feeling burned out and it's like, it's all just too much, what is a leading cause of that is not having felt our feelings. When we cry, when we scream into a pillow or in a parked car in our garage, when we, stomp it out, dance it out, when we actually allow ourselves to fully surrender into feeling a feeling all the way in and all the way through, number one, it usually shifts within about 90 seconds. And number two, it actually helps us to regulate our nervous system and feel safe. That's why it feels actually really good on the other side to have a good cry. When you have a good cry on the other side, it's like, yeah. And then what we find is that we feel less overwhelmed. So there's, of course, a million different ways to find regulation in your nervous system. But I think one of the least talked about is emotional presence and emotional processing and emotional metabolism. There's a wonderful book called Burnout by Emily and Amelia Nagoski, and they talk about that our burnout is not so much caused by doing too much, but by feeling too little. And that we have all of these open emotional stress loops from, the angry email we got from Larry in accounting, the fight we had with our kid before we went to school, the kids who bullied us when we were 7 on the playground, the broken engagement, the hit by a car. Like we have all these moments from our life that most of us were not given the tools or support or education for. Hey, like it's okay to feel your feelings. Let me just sit with you while you cry. Like it's okay to feel angry. My girls go to a beautiful school and my daughter's in 3rd grade and they sent home a screenshot of the morning message the other day and it just touched my heart. It was like a morning message about something or other about inventions, which was cool. And then it said, reminder, all feelings are okay. It was just like, if adults receive the message, all feelings are okay, we would have a lot less depression. We would have a lot less overwhelm. We would have a lot less burnout. And we would be able to pull our energy back and reclaim our energy because all of these unfelt feelings are essentially versions of us that are open tabs in our emotional browser. We have like thousands and thousands of open emotional browser tabs. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling burned out, my recommendation is learn how to feel your feelings. And I promise you, you won't feel angry forever. You won't feel sad forever. It usually takes about 90 seconds for it to shift if you actually let yourself feel it.
Brilliant. I mean, you started off by saying that your sweetheart came home with $10 million. That's a visualization. And when it didn't have the relaxing effect that you were hoping. And with those neuronal connections that are always firing when we're in that stress state, you teach wealth creation through relaxation. But how do you get by those barriers? I call it that the brain's firing in a chronic state of stress. And I teach them how to rewire the brain through neuro-linguistic programming. What do you do? How do you?
Oh, I love that you use NLP. I don't, but someday I want to get trained in it. But I have all sorts of different nervous system healing drills that I teach. Some of them are from a school called neurosomatic intelligence. And some of them I've just learned on my own. You know, I've been a student of mind body wellness for over 20 years. So some of the easiest ones that don't require like a bunch of steps and actually being in a container where, you know, I'm teaching you something specific, getting out in nature. Like nature is always regulated. Nature, a tree doesn't carry trauma, you know, a tree's nervous system. If a tree had a nervous system, I don't exactly know what the system is, but if a tree's energetic field, let's say, because I believe our nervous systems are very interconnected with our energetic fields, a tree is in coherence. The earth is in coherence. And because we are nature, we are animals, our bodies will remember and be able to co-regulate with nature. So I love to recommend that people go sit in a garden, go let the sun hit their face, take off their shoes, stand on the bare earth with bare feet, ground, get in the ocean, get in a lake, smell the dirt, you know, go do some weeding. When you do those things, it will naturally bring your body back into a state of safety and presence and wholeness. Now, the cool thing about nervous system regulation is it is cumulative. It is compounding, very much like compounding interest. So we know that if you put money in a vehicle that creates compounding interest, like the stock market, over time, you know, the interest grows and then you're getting paid interest on that increased amount. Nervous system regulation is the same. So when we go out in nature, when we use some of the drills that I teach, when we hug our dog for 20 seconds at least, which is naturally regulating, when we do these things, we are building our resource reserve. And you don't start fresh every day. You're actually building upon what you put in yesterday. So it's not like brushing your teeth where you just have to brush your teeth every day and every night at the end until you die. That's it. With nervous system regulation, you're putting in deposits and those deposits are paying interest. And so you're starting today on yesterday's ceiling. So today's floor is yesterday's ceiling. But I like to move through those blocks with really simple stuff. Taking a walk, move your body, get on a rebounder, get out in nature, hug a pet or a kid or a husband or a friend. This stuff is actually pretty simple, or it can be simple to start.
And it's vital. You're hitting all the areas. Physical health, financial health, there's a correlate. I mean, I've heard from so many masters that money is an energy. And if you don't have that energy, you can't attract it, you can't get it. I mean, that physical and financial health is I mean, exactly correlated. And I'm calling you from my farm. So I'm going to be out there digging dirt in a little bit.
Amazing. You know, and I will say, like, that piece around money is energy. It is. And I want to just remind folks who might be thinking like, yeah, but what about actually earning it? Every dollar that you earn came through another human. And as humans, we make decisions about who we invest in and where we spend our money based on how we feel. And then we back it up with our logical brain. But it is a feeling that another human is getting from you, and they're making a decision whether or not that money is going to go into your hands. So when we talk about money as just energy and you have to be in energetic alignment with it, what we are really talking about is being relationally magnetic and being relationally attractive, because money comes from humans, and humans speak in the language of energy and emotion.
Brilliant. It all begins in your mind. I used to take my kids around and we'd look at these beautiful buildings and artwork and everything else. I said, originally, that was an empty lot. And somebody had to visualize it and dream it up. And then it creates, and it all begins in your mind. Your relaxed money program. Okay. And I know we're going to have like some offers and things down below and events coming in. Tell us more about your programs, the live events, everything that you got going on.
Yeah, so I really recognize that patterns that take decades to be created in our unconscious require a little more than like, a month to unravel. And so my signature program that I offer is called Relax Money, and it's a year-long program where, yes, there are 13 modules that I teach that you can go through, or that you do go through, but then also there's a year of support with live nervous system healing calls, live group coaching calls, a community, and a live event. Because this is not repatterning, rewiring is not a one and done event. It takes some time to do it right. And one of the things that we talk about is that slow is fast, right? So these minute changes over time, they do compound. And then suddenly you're feeling like you're having a quantum shift, but it was actually because you were building the foundation over time. So Relaxed Money meets people with the nitty gritty, hands-on, okay, we're going to heal your nervous system as it relates to money. We're going to get in the financial literacy that you missed because no one was teaching it properly, but in a fun, playful, even pleasurable way, because like none of the personal finance stuff ever worked for me because it was always so boring. So I make it really fun, really easy to implement. It does not require, complicated budgeting or, penny pinching or having to watch every single cent. And then we also get really into manifesting and wealth energetics and how to expand your abundance financially and otherwise through shifting the way you relate to money and how you are showing up. So it really covers everything you could possibly need, and then also how to get your money making money for you, because ultimately, like, that's the freedom we're all looking for, to be able to become work optional. It's not just about trading hours for dollars. It's how can we go beyond that?
Brilliant. Oh my gosh, you've got to come to one of my clinics, because it is a direct correlate with what I explain to my patients on reversing disease. That disease doesn't really exist. And patients go, what do you mean? It's like darkness doesn't exist. You can't measure darkness. Darkness is just a lack of light. Yeah. Disease is just a lack of health. You just change that. Now I know you've got some upcoming offerings, and I know there's going to be affiliate links down below, and please click on those and register. But what are some of our audience? How can they participate, like right now?
Yeah. So right away, soon after this, I'm teaching a workshop I only do one time a year. It's called Good with Money. And I know that anyone can be good with money. Anyone can. And so it is the beginning process to start to understand what your unconscious programming is about money, and we actually work on some of those repatterning drills and practices in real time. And then really assessing, where are you on your path with money, and how can you fill in the gap so that you can become relaxed and also magnetic and have strong systems that are not hard to maintain, but also a healthy, resilient, supple nervous system that can be responsive and wise when it comes to finances, as opposed to what most folks are doing, which is walking around with unconscious lack programming running the show. And I just will say, this is not your average, this is not like a money mindset workshop. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I've done money mindset. This is really not that. You cannot think your way out of a stress pattern in your body. So this is an experiential journey where we are going to feel our way out of stress patterns so that they actually die away and new neural patterning can be formed. And so we're going to have a live experience of doing that totally for free during Good with Money.
And so they can stop that lack mindset, so they can understand that there is a wealth, an abundance out there that they're not just attracting, but it's theirs. It's already theirs.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. I know we've got, click on the affiliate links sign up for this. Like, absolutely. You've got to change your mind in order to see your opportunities. I mean, and you are the best person in the world to guide them through. Do you have any final words? Because I'm gonna be at that seminar too.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm so excited to have you. And I will say, some people think like, well, I make great money, so I don't need this. And so what I will say is what I found is that making good money doesn't make you good with money. And I have so many clients and friends who pull me aside and they're like, hey, I actually really need your help because I have this really high income, but I don't know where it goes. And I still feel like I'm kind of like living, money in, money out. Why is that happening? That's still financial dysregulation. So no matter what end of the spectrum you find yourself on, financial dysregulation shows up in a lot of different ways. And this is not, I would say like, this is for people who want to feel relaxed with their finances, and I want to offer that that's possible, but pouring more money into a nervous system that fundamentally feels unsafe with money and pouring more money into a life that doesn't have solid financial systems just leaks it out. It doesn't actually help. And then you've done all this working and all this earning for nothing because then it's like, so I will just offer that. I've just been doing this long enough to know that if making more money was going to fix everything, it would have by now.
I love the leaky bucket analogy. I mean, it's like you talk to all of my professors that taught me. You can't just keep putting vitamins and stuff. You got to build the world from the ground up.
Yes, oh my God. Totally.
Okay, so sign up for Kate's webinar. Is it in person or online?
It's online. There are replays, so if people can't come live, it's over 3 days, separated over a week and a half. But we offer the replays, and so go ahead and join in. And I will say, I get thousands and thousands of emails every time from people saying this free workshop was worth more than high-end programs I've invested several thousands of dollars in.
God bless you, dear. You are changing lives because this is one of the biggest sources of divorce, of poor health, of strife, and to realize that the abundance is there. They just got to change their mindset and relax. It seems too simple, but it's brilliant. That's when somebody really understands something, they explain it in simple terms, and you do, and it's amazing. Thank you, my dear. This has been phenomenal. Please sign up because whatever your financial whereabouts, and you're right, I've got patients that are billionaires and they're incredibly stressed. And, patients who are just barely making bills, they're incredibly stressed. It's not the amount of money. It's your relationship and your thought processes. And you address that. Man, if you were close, I'd high five you.
I love that. Thank you.
Great job, my dear. Thank you very, very much. Okay. God bless you.
You too.